Hey everybody, it's Cheyenne and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be about crown preps. Now, if you don't know what a crown prep is, first of all, you have to be an EFTA dental assistant, so expanded functions dental assistant, to make a temporary crown for your dentist. And that's in Oregon. I know in other states may have some different regulations, but in Oregon, you have to have your EFTA to make temporary crowns. But anyways, if you don't know what a crown prep is, a crown prep is when your doctor is going to remove tooth structure from a tooth so he can fit a crown on there. Crowns are most commonly placed on teeth that have had root canals because root canals can make the tooth a little bit weaker. Teeth that have had large amounts of decay, that have a large amount, like a big filling on them, or, you know, there's other reasons, aesthetic reasons, but most of the time it's root canals or teeth that have had very, very large fillings. So they need a structure put on them to make the tooth more secure, you know, so it doesn't fracture and things like that. So I have my model here that I got off of Amazon. If you guys are ever wanting dental models, Amazon's a great place. This is only, I think, like $25. And the reason I got it is because it does have a crown on here. So you can see up here that number 9 has a crown on it. Or I'm sorry, number 8 actually. I lied to you. Number 8 has a crown. So this is the crown here, and this is what your doctor is basically going to do to the tooth so a crown can fit on it. So if you've never assisted during a crown prep before, you're going to seat your patient, and then you're going to take an impression because the tooth looks like this before you do the crown prep. So you're going to take an impression of the tooth before it's been prepped, so you have a template to make your temporary with. And then the doctor will come in, get the patient numb, and then he'll remove the tooth structure so the tooth looks something like this. And then he'll usually pack some cord, and then he'll take an impression that will get sent off to the lab to fabricate the permanent crown, and then you will make the temporary crown. Now, I made a temporary crown off this model, and I'll be showing you guys that in this video. There are many ways you can make temporary crowns. You can use aluminum crowns. There's like this gold crown that is made of aluminum as well. There's stainless steel crowns. Those can be used as temporary crowns, but the way I'm showing you is when you use a temporary crown material so that the crown is tooth colored. And you definitely would want to do that, of course, on an interior tooth. And stainless steel or aluminum crowns are only used usually on posterior teeth. They're not going to be used on interior teeth because most people don't want a stainless steel crown on an interior tooth. So you're going to use a temporary crown material. So in the video I'm going to show you, I'm going to walk you through and just show you the steps that we do in my office to make a temp crown. So I hope you guys enjoy it. All right, guys, here's that model that I was showing you earlier. And again, this came from Amazon if you're interested in purchasing it. I believe it was $25. It's a little cheap, but it has lots of things on it. It has crowns and bridges and implants and root canals. So I think it's great for educational purposes. But yes, I'm just showing you the crown on number 8. Again, that's what it looked like before. And then underneath the crown is what the tooth looks like after the doctor had prepped it for the crown. It's a pretty cool model. Amazon actually has a lot of cool models if you guys are interested. I've also seen some on eBay. So again, that's what the tooth is going to look like before the crown. So this is an interior tray because we are working on number 8. It's an interior tooth. Now this other tray is a posterior tray. This would be used if you're doing a molar or any posterior tooth. And I'm just showing you how it would be placed for the impression if you were to use that. But we will be using the interior tray because once again, we are working or doing a crown on number 8. And it goes in just like so. You definitely want to make sure the patient is biting all the way down and that their bite is correct when they are biting down. So when you grab the patient, either before or after the doctor gets the patient numb, you're going to want to take your bite registration. And this is what you will use to make your temporary crown with. You always want to squirt some material out to make sure that it's fully mixed and so you can test it to make sure that it's set up before pulling out the tray. So you're just filling up your tray here. Be careful there's not any air bubbles or things like that. And then you're going to have your patient bite down on the tray. Again, double check and make sure the patient's biting correctly. You might have to move their lips or things like that. And this is bite registration, so it only takes about 1.5 minutes to set up. It sets up very quickly. And again, you want to do this before the doctor preps the tooth for the crown because you need a template for your temporary. Here I'm just checking it to see if it's set up, and clearly it's not. That's why it's great to squirt some out on the side so you can check it. It seems like it's pretty set up. And of course, if I was doing this on an actual patient, I would be wearing gloves, but all this is clean and it's on a model, so I'm not. But yes, wear gloves if you are doing this on a patient. So you're going to take out the impression. The patient will just open up and you can wiggle it out. So a lot of things came out in my impression because of this model, so I'm just going to take those out real quick. This should not happen with your patient. If it does, grab your doctor. All right, so that's what the impression looks like. So now you have a template of the tooth before the doctor preps it for the crown. So now you can use that to make your temporary crown once the doctor is finished. Because the temporary crown is going to fit on the tooth kind of like a sleeve or like a shell. So yes, I have a template before he prepped it. And I'm just showing you guys that on the model again. So that would be after prep. So now we're going to pretend that the doctor has, got the patient numb, he's prepped the tooth for the crown, he's packed the cord, he's took his impression, and now it's your turn to make the temporary. So this is our temporary crown material that we use in my office. There's lots of different kinds. I think this stuff actually works really, really well. It's in shade A2, which is a very common shade for people's teeth. Now, the teeth on this model are very, very white, so A2 is going to be a little bit dark on it, but that's okay. So you fill up where number 8 was, and you want to help guide the patient's teeth into the right slots. So there you go. Their teeth should slip right into there. Now, this is the impression we took in the beginning. Now, I'm going to hold it because, as we know, if it was a real patient, they would be creating force, and you want to make sure that that material is going up all the way up to their gum line. So have your patient bite down, so that's why I'm holding it. This stuff takes about 1.5 minutes to set up as well. And I squirted some out again, so I'm just checking it. Not quite ready yet. Almost. All right, I think it's done now. So you're gonna have your patient open, and sometimes the temporary will come out in the impression, or it may stick to the tooth. If it sticks to the tooth, that's okay. You can wiggle it off with cotton pliers or hemostats. Just be careful not to break it. So mine, of course, stuck to the model, which it usually does stick to my patient's teeth. So I'm just gonna wiggle it off. And you can see the excess material around the sides of it. So you want to remove that. So I'm going to use a high speed. I am comfortable using a high speed. I like the diamonds. I just am used to working with them. But you can use a polisher if you're not comfortable with the high speed. You definitely want to make sure you shut off the water though, because you don't want to be spraying water around. You don't really need water for this. So I'm just going to remove the excess around, but you want to make sure that you don't remove the margin, because you want to make sure your temporary does go up to the gum line. So again, I'm using the high speed, going to remove. All right, so now I'm trying in the temporary just to see how it fits. And it's fitting pretty good. It goes all the way up to the margin. So now you're gonna wanna check the bite. You wanna make sure the occlusion is not high and that the patient is not biting on that temporary crown first. You wanna make sure that their bite is lining up correctly. So you wanna get some occlusion paper. Have them tap down on that, grind around. Be careful though, because the crown is not cemented, so make sure they don't swallow it by accident. So you can see the blue marks on the back of the temporary, so that means that the occlusion is a little bit high, so I am going to adjust that again. I'm just showing you there the blue marks. All right, so I have removed some of that material where the blue marks were, so I'm gonna try it again. And you're gonna have the patient bite on the blue paper again, check how the occlusion is. You can always ask them too, but usually they're numb, so it's a little bit hard for them to tell. So there's some blue marks again, so we're gonna remove a little bit more. All right, so we're going to try that in again and make sure that the occlusion is good. So biting down again, tap, tap, tap. Kind of hard to do that on a model. All right, and there's a little bit of blue marks again, so I'm gonna remove that again. And then of course the teeth on this model are very white. So this shade A2 that I'm using for this temporary crown would look completely normal in anyone else's mouth, but it is extremely white on this model because the teeth are so white. So it's definitely something you wanna pay attention to though if you're giving someone a front temporary crown. It's just that this shade would be usually normal in somebody's mouth. But anyway, so I'm checking the bite again. And it's looking good. There's no blue marks. And you can see there's blue marks on the other teeth. So that means that their occlusion, that they're hitting their natural teeth first, which is good. And then there you have it. There you have the temporary. I'm giving you a big thumbs up there. So now you would polish it. There's lots of things you can use to polish this. There's sand disc. I'm just using a little composite polisher real quick. Now, if I were putting this actually in a patient's mouth, I would spend some more time polishing it. You do want to get the tooth wet when you use these polishers, but I'm just polishing it and then I would cement it in with temporary cement. And yeah, that is all, guys. All right, guys, that's how I make a temporary crown. Now, if I was actually making one, in the video, I definitely would have polished it more because it is a front tooth. And then I would have cemented it with a temporary cement. And then the patient would come back in about 4 weeks when we got the permanent crown back from our lab. And then I would remove the temporary and then the doctor would permanently cement the permanent crown onto the tooth. Yeah, I hope you guys found that video helpful. And if you have any questions or tips and tricks to temporary crowns, please leave them down below. I love seeing what you guys have to say. And I just want to say thank you guys so much for subscribing to my channel. We're on our way to 10,000 subscribers and that's really exciting and really awesome. And I'm just so incredibly thankful because I honestly love just sharing with you guys and trying to help you guys. So it really means a lot to me that you guys are enjoying these videos. Well, thanks guys so much and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.